Yes, I did. Yeah. Yeah. No, no. I couldn't come online. G'day guys, Sam here from Trade to Prosper, doing another video or live feed update on cryptocurrency, and I'll be looking at Bitcoin predominantly, as well as looking at other affecting markets, and I'll be starting off with the SP 500, and what I'm seeing at the moment is some hope for the short term anyway. So what I'll be doing is going through a number of indicators to give us some support onto what we think we're seeing and what we're planning to do. Okay, so it's just going to be purely technical, and if you've got any questions, do post them, and let's start. So SP 500 is pretty much the main markets, and if you've been keeping track of it, inflation and interest rates have been pretty much affecting it. We've had a bubble for a while with this strong move to the upside with the SP 500, and we're having a correction or bear market, if you want to call it. What seems to be is, at this point, we had our first wave, we had our second wave, and we could potentially have our third wave before we break to the upside. So the good number, the lucky number is 3, and it does fit into the Elliott wave theory. So we had a good support there, and we got a rejection there. We had a good support here, and we had a rejection up here so far. So it does look like a channel, and what we're looking for is pretty much we had the 200 weekly support on the moving average, and I do believe in the short term we'll be in this area, pretty much consolidating for a breakout. Now this breakout is going to be short-lived, I believe. I do think it will come back down, and if it does get a breakout, then Bitcoin will probably follow suit. But we have no confirmation. This is the theory. At the moment, we are in July, and July is not a bearish market. So financial markets, end of year, tax returns, and so on. So it's a new year financially. So I do think that we will have a bit of a rally, and RSI wise, monthly wise, with cryptocurrency, it's oversold. So I do think we're going to have a bounce, but I don't think it's going to be that strong of a bounce. And so I'll be looking for pretty much a small entry, and also looking for a good opportunity short. So that's SP 500. Let's have a quick look at the US dollar, and give us a sec, and we'll just bring that up. Actually, one more thing, the US bonds yields. So this is another component, another indicator, and what we're seeing is pretty much a topping formation on the US 10-year yield. So this also gives me confidence that this is a topping formation of some sort, probably head and shoulders, and we'll probably go down for a short time. So that's encouraging. We're at a key level of resistance. So if we look on the weekly, that trend line is a strong trend line for many years. And so if we clear that up, it has got a rejection, as well as if I do my Fibonacci as well, it's a 618. So it's going to take a while. I think it will consolidate before it breaks up to the upside. But either way, it's not going anywhere soon. So that might give the markets in general to recover. Okay, so that's that. And if I go to the DXY, let's just have a quick look at that. So the US dollar, this is the weekly chart. And you can see how of a strong move it is. And if we look at it from a big picture perspective, I do think it's still going to go up more, but in the short term, it's finding support on this level here. So, and let's look at another Fibonacci level at the top. So there's nothing there yet for us. And one more. Swing low, swing high. Okay, so it's really in no man's land at the moment, just acting as support. So it is acting from this level here. That is our support, previous support and resistance. And so it just might hold this level here to the next level of Fibonacci. Okay, so there's not much we can talk about there. It's just holding its ground. If you look at the indicators on that, yeah, a bit of bearish divergence coming into play. So that sort of helps us out a bit. And now what I want to do is look at one of my favorite charts. Let's see if it's in my shortcut. Oh, there it is. Hopefully that works. Okay, that's not the one. What I'll do is I'll just bring it up. I'm going to bring up the US tether dominance and USDC dominance. They tend to be good indicators as well. So on my left is USDC dominance, and on my right is tether dominance. So they both have topping formations at the moment, what seems to be. So I do feel like there's a bit of resistance. And if this is the 3-day, and that's a 3-day, okay, we can look at, okay, so I have this trend line here. So it's looking like it's going to drop. So I do think this level of support for dominance. So we have a range for dominance. We'll see how that goes. But at the moment, it's still holding that level. And with Tether, it had a massive rejection and support on the 10 and 20 moving average. So we're in a range here as well. So what it's going to do from there, I'm not sure. But that's an indicator that it's dropping at the moment. So with the Tether dominance as well, it's dropping with this RSI. That could be potentially a bearish, slightly down. Yeah, so I've got pressure downwards as well. So tether or buying, even the 3-day candle shows that there is a bit of buying, and so therefore stable coins are being utilized, and therefore the dominance is likely to drop. But how much? Don't know. I'm using this moving average as well, the MACD, and currently it could continue on to the upside. So if it crosses over, that'll be a good sign that we're going to have a bit of a rally. So I'll use that as an indicator as well. There's not much really at this point that will tell us what's happening. It's just sideways ranging, and in Bitcoin is doing the same, and crypto is doing the same. So there is not much there. But with this initial RSI, we still have 18 hours for the 3-day to close. And in short term, that 18 hours could pretty much wipe that out. That little exit that could pretty much go back up again. So until the candle's closed, we can't rely on that. So if we go to the daily, yeah, give it to me. Yeah, thank you. My daughter just gave me some tea. We can see that downward pressure with this indicator on the daily, and you can look at that as well. The RSI it does look like it's going sideways. The MACD is definitely bearish divergence, so this could be a bit of a rally. And tomorrow, I think we'll see some increase to Bitcoin's price. So with this indicator, things look right. SP 500 looks right. It's likely to go up a bit. So I do see a little rally coming with these indicators. So let's go to Bitcoin. So this is a short-term daily. We have you can say a trend. So trends tend to be either with a price range with the moving averages or a channel. So this downtrend channel, so we had, let's see how we go here. So this pretty much covers all of the Bitcoin price since the top, this component. So that's our topping off motion. We had our correction, so that if that's our A, that's our B, and C is potentially right there for the short term. And what we're seeing in the small component right now is that we have this grind line. So if I can highlight that in a bigger folder, we have that grind line, and we also have our top line of resistance. So that can be a bear flag. So what we want to see is pretty much in the short term, I do believe this will come to this level and find some resistance on the 618 range. This area is going to be resistance. If it can break above it with momentum, then we can potentially see hitting this top of the channel, and I do see that being resistance and back down again. So what we can do is for the short term is pretty much, and I would say I'm pretty much staying out of it. Just got one long trade. This is the grind line, and what we have is the bulls pretty much coming in to support that, and we've got a. If you look in the close up, it's just getting close, so you can have a better look from a candlestick perspective. We have 3 days, actually 4 days of defending this. So that's why we've got this movement up to the upside. So 4 days of rejection to the downside. So what we do is just use that reference, and that reference, and it works at the moment. So that line becomes important. Very similar to the other times. So if we were to use this line from that point to that point to that point, you can see once we break that, it capitulates or drops. So if we were to lose this line, understand that we're going to go down further. So that will be a good entry to short. And what I'll be looking for is not on a daily perspective, probably on an 8-hour perspective to see the rejection candlesticks. If there is some rejection, like some combination of candlesticks, black crow formation, or there is a few bearish formations, then that will be a signal to short. So what you can do for the time being is probably stay out of it. You can see this trend line or the middle of the channel actually playing its role. You can see how not quite there, over here, in the middle of the channel. So this trend line, if you want to say, is our main resistance. If we break above it, I do see it coming to this level, and then more so rejection there. So it's going to be a hard range to trade. If you're not comfortable, stay out of it. or have you stop. I would stay out of it. Now, if you're thinking it's the bottom and going, oh, I'm going to miss out, we'll get to that. But the short term, small time frame, I would stay out of it until we see something more significant. I'm about 10% in, and that's about it. I'm mostly in cash at the moment. So we have that channel. If we get rid of the log, you can see that. So until we break that channel, I will not be looking to go long. And we'll come back to that once it breaks that channel. What it does mean in many cases, even if we do break that channel, it could be a bit of a fake out and back down again. I don't think we'll have this kind of action for some time. This is, if we were to get above this level, and you can see this actually, this fib fan actually also looking to be resistance. So if we were to anticipate anything, we'll get this Fibonacci. You can see the 0.5 fib level is confluent with this fib, this line as well. And we do the channel. Yeah, so 0.5 is very strong, and then the 0.618 is going to be very strong. If it was a bottoming formation, we'll have plenty of time to reassess to get back in. So that's for the 8-hour chart. Now, what I want to do is go back to the big chart. Yes, which one's a good one? Let's look at this one first. There's a few observations, and probably the monthly will give you an understanding of what I'm thinking. If you look at historically, every time we had a bad month, let's just get that strong. Actually, maybe black. We have a big bad month, big black candle or red candle, if you want to say, and then it's usually followed by a green. In this case here, we had three consecutive bad months, but the big one is a signal that we are close to the bottom. So we have a massive bad month. I am looking at this type of scenario here where we are close, somewhere around here, close to the bottom. So what we want to see is that the coming month is a slowdown in selling. I don't see anything coming up. Yeah, if we're still looking for the bottom. So this scenario is very ideal. We have time to prepare. This scenario here also is really stretched out a fair bit. We couldn't have that scenario as well. There is no other example. I wouldn't use these ones here because that's a different climate altogether. So what we have here, if we look at it from a big perspective, we've got our Fibonacci at the top, reference there as 1. We'll do our bottom as 0, and you can see the 0.5 is very close. It hasn't been touched. So the 0.5 is about 16,400. That's a good level. It's also close to the monthly support. So if we look at the monthly support area, get the candle there, the body of the candle, we can see the monthly support is below the 300 moving average, but it's very close. It's between these two. Now, if you look at this tool where we have, what's it called again, the logarithmic curve, in its history, it's never actually closed below it. So this tells you that we are pretty bearish, and it's not something, it's something new, put it that way. So taking note of that we've closed below, and it's the first time ever doing that. So our environment is very different. And if we were to extend this, if we look at the RSI, the RSI is also well extended as well from the previous bottoms. So the bottoms there were equal. This one we're below. It hasn't closed yet. So it's closed on right there for the month. So yeah, actually closed, didn't it? It closed below it. So that tells you that it's historically we can't rely on the RSI anymore, and this logarithmic curve is probably not reliable as well. There is one scenario where if we were to get a curve very similar to this, let's see. If that was our curve, we can have one deviation more, maybe like that, and that will make sense close to that. So what I'm looking at this point is the 300 potentially playing a support along with a 0.5 Fibonacci. It makes sense. So if you look at that wick, and if you look at this moving average as well in the past, see how we're coming down. This could have probably touched that point there as well. So it has a point of reference, potentially maybe 2 points. So we aren't there quite yet. And so I do think we might be able to come one more down based on this scenario. So we might have one more leg to go down before we have a bit of a rally. Or we have a rally here. So we have our bear flag. This could be a bear flag or rally. If it's a bear flag, I'm comfortable here to enter, start averaging in, definitely. But yeah, so 16,400 is roughly here. So this, I like the idea that this will drop further, and that will complete a bit of a wedge formation. So it depends how it does it. If it drops, so we potentially have a wedge and potentially have a reversal, and that might be our short-term bottoming formation. Here's the hypothesis. If I was to get that, if it was something similar to that, we can have small candles coming to this 300. So maybe two month candles, one month each, slowing down, and then we have this reversal of that some sort. Then we come to this level where it's probably going to get rejected. So that's my hypothesis at the moment, based on if we find support here and a reversal candle. Now the next, it's all guessing obviously, and then I do see another rejection, and then we come down further, because this bear market is not like any other bear market. I do think that 10,000 to 12,000 could be a range. So we have our monthly support here as one level of interest. Then we have our another monthly support, which is that level here, give or take. Very difficult to say, but this area is, and it lines up with the Fibonacci's. So this historically has been strong resistance, so it should be strong support. And therefore I do see wicks coming down here, and maybe we just go sideways like this one for some time, and then we see how it works out. So I'm looking at that scenario at the moment. I do think that we might get a rally. If we're lucky to get to that height, great. Probably not. But let's see how that goes. With the indicators, if we look at the indicators on the monthly, I've got a few here. The Phoenix isn't showing any reversal with these RSI. So if we look at this indicator, it's still way below the red RSI and the green, that moving average. They're all below, and it's just going sideways. Nothing showing bullish. So we need a bullish month to actually see some momentum. The momentum, so this orange surface area is still way below 50%. And we need to see it come up like this to even have an idea. So there is not much volume, if you want to say. So the monthly, we have this as well on the RSI. I'm going to use this potentially, this trend line to gauge it. So if it, on the monthly breaks this level, I have two levels. The stochastic is doing what it did in the past on the monthly. Just I'll be interested if the stochastic comes up to this level. The stochastic comes up to this pretty much -8%. If this comes up with momentum, so it will be very similar to this, the orange. If it comes up and gets to this level, I do see that giving us a signal as a reversal, or the bottoming is in. But we need to break this level here that I have. Very similar to these signals crossing over on the monthly. At the moment, it looks like they're just widening actually. So on the monthly, there is nothing from the signal perspective that we're nearby. Now, if we go to the 2 weekly, somewhere halfway, not the weekly, but not monthly. If we look at that, let's just delete what I just did there. So we're just looking from a signal perspective. You can see with the Phoenix indicator as well, there is no crossover. So if we look at from a like that, the signals aren't crossing over yet. So there, even though the momentum is slightly to the upside, from a 2 week perspective, there is no crossing over. So with the way I use this signal is that if the orange gets above the 20%, the 50% level, or breaks down any direction, it's momentum. So this orange indicator is momentum, and you could say there's a bit of a bullish divergence here, slightly, or even here. But what we see is when it crosses over, so the green signal RSI crosses over the other two, and the momentum is above 50%. And just to prove the point, I'll put my crossover there. Somewhere it doesn't quite fit. All right, that's one. And then we're going to look at the chart when this happens. You can see in many cases, it's a good indicator for upward momentum on the 2 weeks. Very here, similar to there. So it does help. So this indicator does help on the 2 weekly, and the RSI is pretty much showing that. And you can look at previous RSI on the 2 weekly, even though it's gone flat, it hasn't broken out. It's just accumulation. So with the RSI, I like to see going above 40 something percent before we can say, we are rolling. Very much aligned to that. So the 2 week, every time it goes above this level with the stochastic, and in this case, I like to see crossover. These signals need to cross over to see anything momentum move to the upside. So from the indicator perspective, we are not close for reversal. So the indicators need to show some momentum to the upside. It doesn't necessarily mean a bullish candle, or a big massive bullish candle. It just means that the buying volume or the demand goes up. And if you look at previous history, there is bullish divergence in the making, and so don't rush. There's no rush. Don't panic that you're going to miss out. There's plenty of time. Now the thing is, if you're into altcoins and all the rest, it's probably late in the picture to make a plan. Just give me a sec. Okay. So from an approach, from a trading strategy, just wait. Do not dive in. Um, there are other people out there that pretty much. What I'm saying is there is a lot of people, good professional traders, that pretty much agree with the analysis that we are looking to go down more. So if we look at the general markets and the inflation rates and the interest rates for the next couple of months, I think we're still going to be somewhere looking for the bottom, um, a range. It will be a range, and so just need to be patient. So if I use this 2 weekly trend line for the RSI, just like that, I, the first indication would be that the RSI breaks this line on a 2 week, and that might mean a green candle, and then this blue level. So if we get above that, I'll be start looking to buy a fair bit in. But I'll be also looking to average in as well. So as it drops, I'll be averaging in. I've got 3 levels, roughly, that I'll be averaging if it keeps dropping. So that's my strategy, not financial advice. Now, if we look on the weekly, and let's see if we've got a weekly chart here. That's not going to help. Okay, from a weekly perspective, if I bring that in, you can see it's a theory at the moment. In the past, we had this RSI that looked like a descending wedge formation. And again, that top trend line is what I'll be looking for. The bottom is the support on the RSI. So that structure is currently sort of fitting into this structure here as well. So I've aligned my key levels or pivot points. So I've got pivot point there and a pivot point there, and we're seeing how that goes. We have a support there and we have support there. So far, we have this. It could be a case where it might just keep going down and then we get the breakout. That'll be a good indicator to start buying in a portion of your cash in. What we want to see is still, just really depends what on the candlesticks as well as structure on a shorter time frame. If there's a like inverted head and shoulders around here, that will be a good indicator to go along. This was an Adam and Eve structure or inverted, yeah. So the structure will give us a heads up. For now, what we have is resistance. So we got this moving average that should have acted as support, the 1 weekly 200 moving SMA, and that's the EMA. All right, so that they are acting as resistance. When and we also have this long-term logarithmic curve. This line should have been as support as well. So it could be a case where, like I said, we could have a new bottom, new trend, this red one here. So all I did was pretty much line that up and bring it down to the wicks. And maybe if we see some support in that area, this might be a case where we could continue to find support. So I do see it coming down a bit more. All right. Now let's see if we've got any more questions. No questions? Cool. Short term, if you were to trade, if you want to make a trade, these key levels. So the Fibonacci, so you see this red one here, it's acting as resistance all the way through. It's a 200 moving average on the 4 hour. That is going to be a strong resistance for the short term. So I would not buy, I just look for shorting, not to go long. And let's see how this closes. This is okay, so we need to see how that closes by the end of the week. On the daily, that trend line you can see is roughly equated to 23k, and if anything, it's aligned with that macro 618 Fibonacci. So that's going to be a strong resistance along with this 200 moving average. Definitely a shorting position there. So if this does rally, type of sort of thing, that'll be a good position looking to short. So this will come across, and I do see that type of thing. If it breaks with momentum and breaks above it, then we'll look for support. But at this point, I don't see that happening. And you have plenty of time. So even when you come here and you think of shorting, there will be bearish candlesticks formations, indicators to tell us that there is a sell-off. I'll be looking to sell off if it comes up there, just short. I wouldn't buy if this comes down. So I do feel like this will come up to that level and then get rejected. So I do see that in the short term. Pretty much like that. The grind line. We have the grind line. It is definitely, so you can see how that trend line worked. And if you see this structure, just to give you some lessons here, that level, so there was two levels here. That was our support line. As soon as we dropped it, you can see how it just dropped. Very similar to this acting as a resistance as well. You can see that acted as resistance all the way through from a different perspective. So if you see these trend lines with more than 2 or 3 touches of support or resistance, that is your trading methodology. The more touches, the more significant. Now we've got and I'm sure we have a Fibonacci here as well, from there to there, along with the 200 moving average. Strong resistance, sell down. Breaks down, find support on my number, on as well as this moving average. Therefore, you get a bounce. Then you get this bear flag, and down again. Now this capitulation. So what we have is really, and the methodology is, you have descent, then you have acceleration to the downside. Ideally, this should be the bottom. Ideally, in the past, I would have looked at this as, but it's what happens is the sentiments in the market, the people with crypto, there's still hope. And as long as there's hope, it's not the bottom. And that's how I look at it. And I look for reasons why it's not the bottom. And a lot of things indicate that we're pretty much below the RSI, and ideally it should be the bottom, but the market is still with hope. People still think this is the bottom and it's a good time to buy, and that therefore, no. You want to see the market, you want to see people with no hope. And so capitulation, I don't know if it's going to happen, but that was one. I don't think we're going to really capitulate. I think I just like this area, to tell the truth. To me, this is where you're averaging, and if it drops again, that's probably the bottom. But you can't take that chance of missing out. So you want to start coming in here, is my opinion. And if it drops, that'll be nice to buy. Obviously, it also depends on what the SP 500 or the Nasdaq is doing and so on. So, from my perspective, I'm looking at looking for formation as well. So if we have this formation or this formation, so we can have a trend line of some sort. So let's just delete all that for a sec. Or just let's do this for a sec. If we have this, and I believe we have a channel, it's likely. Actually, it's not the best channel, is it? Let's go back to my other one. Oh, geez, I've got to get rid of that. Cool. There's actually another thing I would like to show, but I'll get to it later. You can see that bottom line, for now, doesn't mean it's going to be relevant. We've got to look for something with confluence. And so if this was to drop, just playing that scenario, if this was to go ranging sideways, it still touches this level here. So we've got 2 points. I'll be looking, so that's the theory. If it drops this, along with this is the monthly support, as well as a Fibonacci, this is a real nice area. So, but this 300 is also another good area as well. So those are the little areas I'm looking at. Now we can say from a trend line perspective, if this was to go sideways, this trend line is going to be our pivot point. So it's been acting as a pivot point for some time. So if this was to keep going sideways or up, it's going to be a point of pivot. And it could go upside, but it's more likely to go down with this. And therefore, I do see something like that happening. All right. Now let's look at Ethereum. Actually, one more thing. Let's look at this chart. This is the heat map. Let's get to Bitcoin. So you can see those areas that are highlighted in yellow are areas of interest. So they're actually fairly nicely spread out. 15K, this green area is not that intense. So these are places of open interest. So you can see how it's all spread out. This is recent. It wasn't like that before. So this is new developments. Let's just look at it from this perspective. It's hard to control this chart sometimes. It's very sensitive. So this is all new developments. This wasn't here before. Interesting. Let's see what this is. This is the 8-hour. Let's look at the daily. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that's all new. So more open interests have come in. Jeez. So this is a lot of support. So there's okay. 15K. So the next one down. So obviously people looking for double bottom. Liquidity is there. I think there's a lot of liquidity that they will look for with this area that's highlighted in dark green. There'll be a lot of liquidity there to push it down. You've got this point of control, sort of mapping to that with volume, previous volume. And you can see how in the past that acted as pretty much areas of support and resistance. Yep. So we have support here. We also have a fair bit of resistance in this bucket here. So it's still within this range, and that's the way you trade the range. So short there, buy at the bottom. Anyway, so that sort of fits into, comes back in, does fit into this scenario. Okay, so Bitcoin, and you can see it's hit already a moving average. Let's see, what have we got here? Okay. 21 daily moving average. So that could be, there we go. It's already giving, so this is a 2 hour. So with a 4 hour. No red candle yet. But indecision candle, it's got another hour. Okay. Let's see how that goes. But yeah, so we can see how that 21 weekly daily moving average is smack bang as resistance along with the middle of the channel. So I think it might just come down a bit. Let's see. Okay, we can't use the moving averages there. Short term wise. All right, so let's see how that works out. All right, so we've got resistance and support. Does it cradle set up? Okay, so we want to see this start to cross back over to see it go back up. So we want to see the MACD on 30 minutes. So this is a 30-minute trade if this possible. So you can see how the formation works. So this ribbon is acting as support. And if we lose that ribbon, the 10 and 20 moving average ribbon, it's likely to come down to here. So short-term wise, I do see it come back down. See on the 1 hour. Yeah, so it's losing formation at the moment. It's a bit of strength, it's losing it. So I do see this acting as resistance, 20,400. Now, the question is, if it keeps going sideways and this ribbon keeps going, then we look for a bullish candle of some sort to break through, and that's your entry. Anyway, keep an eye on this. That could be a small trade opportunity. Now let's look at a few of the other charts. Let's see how that's going at the moment. Cool. Yeah, so it does show that there is buying. I'm in this trade. So veracity, small trade, high leverage. So so far so good. I am interested in this area here. If those are interested in veracity on KuCoin, if you've got questions, if you've got any requests, I can take them on. So what I'm looking at for veracity is that you can see. Let's have a look at this. What I did was, from a swing low to swing high, swing low, swing high, you can see how this Fibonacci is coming to play. So I'm looking at this golden ratio as well as, where's the other Fib? So that's a local from swing high, swing low. It's also at the 1.272. So they sort of line up for this area of interest to go long. So that's my box. And I'll be watching this as it goes. For the short term, I'm just making a small trade. Matic. Matic's a bit hard because most of the alts have done a distribution. Matic could still be within the reaccumulation because it doesn't have much history. So this could be wave 4. That could be the bottom of wave 4. It's aligned with my, if we look at this, from the top to the bottom, it's pretty much on the 0.68. Maybe it could come down a bit more, but it's 1.618 extension. So this might be a nice area to accumulate for Matic. So that range could be the bottom formation for Matic for continuation. Very hard to say at this point, because that is a level. This level here. So it dipped below it, it's regained it. It's very hard to see what it's doing. So if I was to go along with that, let's just go in closer. You can see how it broke above really strong, found its resistance. It's really a nasty formation. It's found support. I don't know if you average in, but I would look for, if it comes back down to this level, I'll probably start averaging in this area here, and then put your stop loss right beneath it. So if it comes back down, start accumulating, ideally further down, I suppose. But yeah, that's Matic for me. Vet is pretty much, it's done its distribution. It's come to a level of, so it's on the 0.5 Fibonacci level, previous level of resistance. So it's finding support. Can it drop down here? I don't know. But those are two levels of interest. So it might get a bit of a bounce and then further come back down. So not sure about that. But it is definitely on the area of support. And then Bitcoin, so I do potentially see this going sideways or a bit up. Let's have a look at if there's any formation. So that looks nice. Can we say that's a channel? Potentially. Bottom of the channel. But definitely it's looking at holding this level at the moment. Kind of double bottom. The W shape, isn't it? So that's 1, 2, 3. Hard to say. I would like to see it break this level for me to go long. Or I'll come late. So that could be an ascending wedge as well. A difficult one. AXA, okay. I bought AXA today as well. A spot trade. Just going sideways for the time being. How does AXA look? It's on a strong support level. And I really want to get a good entry for AXA. So if we look at that, just get rid of those Fibonacci's for a sec. But that looks like a broadening wedge. So I did say to the guys that was a pivot point and it moved to the upside. I was sleeping when that happened. So that'll be a nice, interesting level to see what happens there. But definitely that was a pivot. Let's just get rid of that. I'll put my Fibonacci to show where the resistance level is. So it's on the 0.382 at the moment. Yeah, so if you can break that, then that's a bit of a bullish, because you can see on the daily, that's a daily resistance level. And you've got the 10-20 moving average as resistance. So that'll be interesting how that works out. It does seem to be a bit of a bottoming formation, to tell the truth. and it's on the 1.618 extension. Okay, from the top there down, so it's got a nice, and it's on the 0.382 macro fib, so it's a good level of support. And historically, this was a level of resistance and support. So ideally, this orange, I think the orange, anything that goes into the orange bucket will be a good buy. Start accumulating from there. If it drops, if this breaks this trend line, that could be a good sign as well. So that's Matic. Can you revisit ETH again? And if you have a chance, okay. I do have ETH somewhere. Okay, so I was looking at today. That's a good trend. So it's a good trend line. It's very similar to Bitcoin. So if you look at this formation, this is the grind line. If it loses that, it's going to drop, in my opinion. So that is an important grind line. So we have two scenarios, in my opinion. That could be A, B, C, potentially D, and E, right? So that if it's going to be a reversal. But if we look at it from the other direction, and it's hard, you can say that is A, B, C, D, E, and that's a continuation. That's you got your continuation that way. Actually, so the trend is down. The trend is down that way, and this could be a continuation. Not to say it's so I do think Bitcoin could do the same. So Ethereum is mirroring that. However, this also could be a reversal, and the only way you're going to know it's a reversal is realistically when it breaks this level. However, having said that, in most cases, so here's the main point. To know when the bottom is in, it has to retest the bottom. It's in most markets, and if you look at, there's only a few. There is exceptions to the rule, but what happens is, and similar to the top, you got double tops or head and shoulders. It's because it exhausts the top. Similarly, if you flip that to the bottom, you got your double, and you want to see it try to come down again. So if this is really not testing the bottom. This might go wherever it is, but it will still come back down, just to prove that is a support level. So if that wherever so if it goes up, I think this trend line is going to be strong resistance. Actually, that's good. Here we go. There might be a nice bullish formation or reversal. Just thinking ahead. So if we get that type of scenario, and this does break above it and find support here, this could be a nice, and that will be my breakout trade. That will be my short entry. So if this was a reversal, but if it comes down here, I'll just wait and see if there's if it breaks that, I'll revisiting this level. Those who aren't familiar with Wyckoff, let's see what we've got here. We have that proper structure. So we want to see, when it comes to here, that it actually struggles to get up and then goes up. So that's looking at that level there. But having said that, we've done that a few times, and Bitcoin no different. If I just put those fib levels in there, see how everything lines up. It really does. I'll just reduce the intensity. You can see if that's our range, that will become 1, and my fib levels, and 1.618 to the 1.212, that is lining up with this trend line as well. So it's likely to find, this is likely to be the target for this structure if it breaks out above this level. I do think it will, but I don't think it's going to go far. So that's my thinking on Ethereum. I think tomorrow's going to be an interesting day. Just looking at that structure, that could be a good opportunity to short or go long. And I can see this one here. This is really coming into the picture, isn't it? Yeah, the 200 moving average as well. Very similar to Bitcoin. No problem. Okay. New chartist. Yes. Welcome to the journey. There's a lot of, you just got to get the mileage under your belt. You start to pick up certain things along the way. But this grind line, the grind line's always there. You just got to pick it up. And I usually use that for shorting. And sometimes it just doesn't retest it. And that's where it sucks. So you just got to use your strategies. So let's look at that. Ethereum, you can see pretty much a topping formation. And what I did in the past, a measured move. It's actually gone further than the measured move. Actually, that's the hairline. Okay. And I also have this here. So if this is the ascending wedge, which is about there, I did that as well. And it might go a bit further down to this level here. So I'm looking at pretty much high 600s to low 700s potentially for Ethereum to come. So we had the head and shoulder scenario, and that I think that was so that came down to its target around here. Let's just get rid of these buggers for a sec. Just want to do a bit of a cleanup. Give me a sec. Just bring these up. Yeah, so if you look at that, that's my neckline. Definitely came to that area, and then more so. The other aspect, from the swing high, swing low, to swing high, the 1.414, it's just below it. Now it's gone above it. So, okay, so if we look at Ethereum from a macro perspective, ideally that would be nice. Using that, okay, so from there to there. So the 1.618 is pretty much, you actually went further down to the 1.786. Okay. If we look, and Ethereum usually, when it's a bear market, it usually does worse than Bitcoin. So at the 0.618, so it's still finding support at this level, which is an area of interest. So if I was to reverse that, it could actually come all the way down to the 400s if it's a real bad bear market. So this moving average is pretty much acting as resistance. the 200 SMA. Big formation. Um, this could be a move. I am pretty bearish, I have to say, but that could be a B move, and then we can have our next wave probably to that level. We don't know what this market's going to be like, so yeah. So I like this level. I'll start averaging here. If it drops there, definitely 630, 600 is. I like the 600 level for some reason. I remember doing it, and it's got a lot of confluence with a lot of things. So if we look at the monthly, see what the monthly looks like. So it's really at the monthly level, isn't it? But it's just so a week below it, and then you got all these other levels on the monthly. So definitely, if we can't hold this, so we've got actually this one's better than Bitcoin, isn't it? Far out. So if we look at that, actually doing better than Bitcoin. Oh no, don't do that. Let me do that again. Actually, so yeah, okay. Ethereum's got a bit better candle, I suppose. Yeah, so Ethereum's recovering a bit better. So that's a bit of a wick for the month. Bit of a dump. Yeah, so I do see a bit of a rally coming up. What's the best one? Let's just do this for a sec. So we've got all these levels of resistance, potentially. All these fib levels. So 1280 is the next level of major resistance, aligned with the monthly level here. I would look at these levels, guys. Each level, confluence with a Fibonacci, it's going to be a strong resistance. All right, so that's what I got there. What else have we got? FTM. So FTM's got its own grind line. It's come down a lot, hasn't it? Far out. Jeez, got smashed. The MACD's turning around, so a bit of a bullish divergence coming there, but maybe that's played out, but don't know. Geez, that doesn't look the best. Let's see how that works out. So it's broken, yeah, okay. Might do that as well. Bit of resistance on its way, and the final one. All right, so a few Fibonacci levels as well. 618. Okay, it's going to be a strong resistance there. Yeah, nothing clear there. So on the weekly, it looks better than most. For dot, I had this channel, and I did find a reversal there. It could be the support level, but it's not really moving strong. That's why I'm more favorable for this level here. It's not really showing much strength. So dot is probably in the 4 cents range, $4 range. Ideally, can't believe it, but he's probably come back down to this blue range. When I do all that, I've got a few ranges, so I would be averaging in from there and there. Okay. Anyone interested in Optimum? So I bought Optimum, but it's not showing much strength either. I do think Optimum's going to drop further down. There's not much to go with, so it's all guesswork on this one, just with assumptions. If it comes down, so if Optimum comes down, I'll start averaging in these layers here for Optimum. So I do see this breaking down. It's not the best chart. Like, it's holding that level. It's holding this level, but not really strong. So if it drops below that, it's definitely going to drop to the next bottom, and I think it will come back down more. Actually, let's see if there's a pivot level. That's my 0.4. That's wrong chart. Give me a sec. Where's the fib panda on there? Okay, that's not going to really help either. Was it up there? Okay, that's. Oh, so I was up there once before. So I got the wrong reference. Okay, so no, it's not going to help either. All right, there's not much, but I do think it's going to come down more. No, there's nothing that really gives me any help there. Anyone interested in Moonbeam? I do. So that's one of my ranges. That was pretty much what I said in the 50 cents range. But if it comes down further to this box, I'll definitely buy. So I'm still holding back. I like the idea that it's going to come down to this range here. Interesting there that there's a trend line. Can it break that trend line? No, so it's starting to show red candles. Okay. So that trend line's having an effect. It's a 4 hour, so we've got two 4 hour bearish candles. There we go. So it's getting a rejection at that fib level as well. Bummer. Yeah, so that's on target. That's why I'm just. Yep, so then we're getting the crossover. Okay. So, yeah, guys, if you're interested, look for this level here. Start averaging. I did average here. So what I do is, what do I do? If I have $5, I spend $1.50 here. If it drops further down, I spend $2 and definitely $3 or $4 or add more. So little here, more, and then the big one in this area here. That's what I'm really looking at, spending my money as it comes down. It does line up with the Fibonacci. It's been working for me for a while. So this Fibonacci has been working for me, and therefore I do see this level. It could probably come down to this one here, 18-20 cents. Long term wise, if you could get that by the dip, long term wise, I reckon give it a year or two, it would be great. We're looking at it yesterday. Let's see. What else we got? Anyone interested in TrueBit? Give us a sec. Where's my TrueBit chart? All right, SNX. It's a 15-minute chart. Let's see what it's doing. Synthetics. All right, let's look at the big picture. So synthetics actually did a real good play, didn't it? That was a good move. Topping off, I got this neckline, and if you look at it, it's finding as resistance. Okay, so this neckline is 0.618 as well. If we can get above that, then I still see it getting rejected here. Looks like an ascending wedge or a triangle of some sort, and my area of interest is further down, which is the zero point 0.5 Fibonacci. Um, we'll see how that goes. The reason why is this structure. It's got two. It's a bit weird, but the neckline is here, and to me, this is it's done its wave 5. Now it's doing its correction, and it's likely this bull run started around here, this area here, so it's likely to return to that. This area is also possible. Um, so yeah, so these are the two areas I'm interested in with synthetics, and I don't know if this trend line is going to work, but if I look at that there, it does line up with this here, so it might be a good entry point to keep going with synthetics. Bitcoin dominance, I do see the RSI is sort of turning around here, doesn't it? It seems to be turning around. So Bitcoin dominance is holding this level. There's a lot of volatility there. Okay. And if so, this is the 3-day chart. If this crosses over, Bitcoin dominance is going to go up. That could mean either Bitcoin's breaking out or capitulating more. It's going to be hard, but I would look at this. It's just going sideways at the moment, and I expected it very much like this. That level has a lot of confluence with side. What else have we got? Yeah, red AVAX. I really want to get AVAX entry. All right, let's see what we got. A few more charts, and I'll wrap it up. Sol, bugger. That wasn't my Sol chart. That one. Solana. So Solana's obviously a good one to buy, I reckon. So that was my entry, 2 levels, and I'm pretty much in one of them. I still feel like the 1.618 is. So we had previously here, we had a lot of wicks around that area and resistance, and it's equating to the 1.618. So $21 or $20, whatever it is, I still feel that that is a good buy for Solana. So if you look at that trend line, I'm not sure where that came from. I don't know where that came from. But you can see so far it's like a broadening wedge. I'm wondering. Okay. We'll see how that goes. If there's going to be a breakout. But yeah, so if you look at this up close, I love these Fibonacci's. They really work. Look at that. Just right on the money. Like I haven't touched this chart for ages, and you can see how it just works. Fibonacci works all the way through. So the question is, let's put the 10 and 20 moving average on that. Okay, so you can see how the 10 and 20 moving average also come into play. It's going to be a hard area to break through. If we look at, so if this is going to help us. So the cloud there, I forgot how to say it, Ichimoku cloud. It's still wide, and the way this works is, I suppose this is closing in though, so it's weakening with resistance. So the more it compresses, the weaker the resistance becomes. So okay, let's do this one instead. Okay, that's a 2 day. Let's look at the daily. It is closing up and it's flattening out. So this area could be a lot. I do think this will range. So we have a range, and okay, let's look at this. So that is our support level. All right, and that is our resistance level. Very similar to the others, but the thing is, this one's actually not a bad formation. So you got 1, 2, 3. It can be a really bullish move to that level. So the targets are there. Let's get that into black. Okay. I like the structure of this. Like the reversal on the daily, it's showing. Let's see the RSI on this. So we've got the crossover here as well. MACD is not bad. Let's see what the MACD is doing. Yep, it's still holding. The MACD is still above the signal. So yeah, Solana is looking good. Let's see. Yeah, okay. No, I do like Solana. I do still a bit of resistance here first, but this looks like a reversal structure. I'm not saying macro reversal, not trend, not the, but I do see a good trade opportunity, and it might, if it goes strong, it might really go up to this level here. Because depending on how people are, but that could be the next target as well. And this could be, depending on how the market behaves, and just so, yeah, all right, it hits there, it comes back down, retest this level, and then pretty much that's our bottoming formation. Ideally, I would still like to see it come down one more, but definitely that could be really, really nice. And it fits into this broadening wedge theory. That could be the bottom for Solana. So because it's going to take up much more to drop down, much more percentage. If it gets to that level there, that 64%, yeah, still within the range to make a bottom. And even if it drops there, so yeah, I do see that as a good level. So right here, we've got this here with previous support and resistance. And if we could just break above that and hold it, that could be support. So we had resistance here before. Here we go, right there. All this level, consistent resistance, and that's why we got resistance there now. All right. Give me a sec, guys. Who? Errol. Oh, okay. Yeah? I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. Some important news came for my brother, so I just got to see what's going on there. I'll talk to you soon.